So, Premier League season's returned, and I think we've all
Yeah,
waited long enough. We've had a bit of Wimbledon, we've had a bit of Women's World Cup, we've had a bit of women's netball as well. We've had everything in between, but I think we're all glad it's back. We've had a bit of EFL Cup as well over the weekend, but no, I'm glad it's back. Really excited for this season. Some interesting transfer dealings going across there as well from us. Players leaving, big players leaving, and I don't think we can have this podcast without actually talking about the biggest breaking thing over the summer, which is Saudi Arabia and the impact that they've had on
yeah.
our football and European football as well.
I thought I was ready for the start of the season, but to be honest with you, with everything that's going on with the transfer market at the moment, I'm almost in two minds. Like with the managers, the way that Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola are talking about, they should probably shut the window before the start of the season, and I never thought that should have been before, but now with the emergence of like Saudi Arabia and everything that's going on with Caicedo and Lavia, and especially when your club are involved, it's quite easy to understand where they're coming from, because I feel totally distracted by the start of the season. Like you mentioned it there, yeah, the season starts tomorrow, which is quite ridiculous, and everything's still up in the air with a number of different clubs. And especially, like you say there, with the emergence of Saudi Arabia, we don't know if we're going to get a last minute, £100 million bid for Mo Salah, or, like clubs, their biggest players. You don't know where they're going. I think it's exciting. I think it's good to have competition. Whether it be Saudi Arabia, whether it be MLS, we're seeing what's going on with Messi. I think a few people in the Premier League will be not nervous, but it could be a case within the next couple of years or so. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, if we look at it, and Premier League's been the dominant force in world football for the last 20 years because it's had all the money. Now you've got Saudi Arabia, who, they'll smash the Premier League out of the water with the
Yeah,
amount of funding and money they've got behind the wages they can offer, the transfer fees, all that sort of stuff. But just coming back to the Premier League, I think it's going to be. I think there's some teams that have got a lot of answer. I've got a lot of sort
what
of
to answer for?
they have. They've got a lot of apologising to do to the fans, and with that comes they need to put in a performance this year. And the two main ones, I think, Liverpool and Chelsea.
Mm.
When Martin spelled Chelsea, and I think Chelsea are a club that have been really, really. They've gone under the radar. And I think Pochettino he's got 12 players. He's got players that he wants, and he's one of the best in the world when it comes to manager. Don't ignore what he did at PSG, because as we can see at the moment, they're a mess. But he's a real top manager. And the other one, I think they're going to be a real surprise, and I think there's a chance for them. I know it seems to be we've got top four sort of sorted, but I think if Aston Villa finish in the top four, I wouldn't be surprised. And there's
Yeah,
obviously the Newcastle angle as well, who are just obviously going to, they've bought really well in Sandro Tonali, who's a quality player, and they've got Harvey Barnes as well. But I just think, but it'd be interesting to see how they deal with the Champions League and the weekend fixtures, because it's new to them, and how Eddie Howe's never been in Champions League as well, so that's a big thing. So there's some question marks, but I think Unai Emery, I just think he's a top manager, and I think Aston Villa are very lucky with him at the moment. But us, Liverpool, how do you see us doing this season? I mean, we did seem to do all right with McAllister's job was like get them in, and after that it's just been we're like Man United of old. We can't even get
yeah.
like you've seen back page on Twitter. It's like, what's going on? Are we buying him or not?
It's embarrassing. It's either really embarrassing or it's like a master stroke. It's like Kaiser Soze. Is it Kaiser Soze?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever it was. It's either one of those master plans where everybody's looking at one way, and then you're actually going for Caicedo. You
Yeah.
think you're going for Lavia, but you're going for Caicedo. So it's either a master stroke or they're
Do you
absolutely
think?
brutal.
Do you think Enya Luca knew what she was talking about when she said certain clubs bid for other clubs? And I think Liverpool and Chelsea are trying to do it to each other with Lavia and
She might
Caicedo.
have actually been on something. I'm not gonna.
Should be at home rubbing hands. I told you, motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's really embarrassing, to leave it this late. Jurgen Klopp said this was going to be a big rebuild this summer. He'd wanted to get everybody in early doors, and now we're leaving it to the point where we can't register a player by the weekend. So we're stuck with what we got, and I say stuck. We're very fortunate to have certain players, but it's a difficult game to start with, and just so happens that we're
Yeah.
competing with the same team
I mean, if you look at
off the
our team,
field.
I mean, you look at the players that have left. The only one that's a concrete starter would have been Fabinho, and he had a bit of a
Mhm.
dip last season. So you look at Milner, hardly played. Naby Keita injured all the time. Oxlade Chamberlain injured all the time.
Yeah,
Henderson and Fabinho. yes, Henderson, even though he was sort of like a bit of a bit part player, wasn't he? And Fabinho generally, so they're the. I mean, you look at our current midfield; it's not too bad. You've got, I mean, it's all right. It's better than not too bad. You've got McAllister, Szoboszlai, Thiago, Bajcetic, Curtis Jones, and Harvey Elliott. It's a good six. There's obviously a gap in that position of as a six, and that's what we're looking at, trying to play Curtis Jones. And Thiago could play there, but it's just you're trying to put sort of square pegs in round holes, and I just think it needs to be. It's a player we need, but I think we're not going to go and pay over the odds. But I think the Lavia one is really stupid. If you're going to pay 45, pay 50. You know what I mean? I think over the season it's going to cost you more than 50 million, more than 5 million if you think that player would have been your answer to your question. So there's a lot of inward challenging and talking amongst yourselves, for Liverpool. So I think there's that work that needs to be looked at as well. But you look at how many Man United have done really well. They've got on. I mean, how these signings work out or not in terms of who they've bought and how quick. The Mason Mount done quick. Rasmus Højlund done quick. I mean, whether they paid over the odds, that's another thing. Do you know what I mean? They've just gone in and bought players, and there's no faffing about. Whereas we're doing what Man United have done in previous years. So we've called Man United out in previous years. It's absolutely right that we call Liverpool out now as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing. We're not saying anything about the starting 11. If you can build our starting 11, Thiago in the six, and then the usuals around and the new players in the midfield. We compete with anybody, but the reality is you're never going to get a full season out of Thiago. You're never going to get a full season out of anyone, and you'd be lucky if you did. So it's just that backup area. But yeah, Man United. I was impressed with the Mount signing. I'd be buzzing if I were a Man U fan. He'll give everything. He is a technically good player. Maybe not the best. Maybe not absolutely out this world, but he's the functional type of player that you need. Rasmus, I do not know a great deal about him. I'm not going to lie.
I said they've done well in terms of buying, getting him in. I think they've massively overpaid for him. He scored like single-figure numbers in Atlanta. Atlanta were just like, yes, give us a money, go.
Do you think it could be a case of he's maybe like a, not necessarily the same style like a Bobby or a Dirk Kuyt type, like a forward that works hard for the team that everybody else appreciates, but not necessarily.
You need goals as well, don't you? I mean, don't get me wrong, he's young. There is opportunity to improve. There's a whole thing, the unknown of going in at Man United as well, playing for them. I just think they've done well in terms of getting him in quickly. I've got question marks over his quality and whether he can score the numbers that they want.
But what is it? Obviously Ten Hag is, he's forgot more than we'll never know. What has he seen in this player that leads him to believe that he can basically spearhead the attack of the biggest club in probably the world?
When he came, he said we need a modern centre forward. Sorry, and the players that he had previously just didn't fit that mold. The ones that I mentioned didn't fit the way he wanted to play. Obviously, he wants a forward, progressive, front pressing centre forward, and the ones that can score goals. Or they call it multi-dimensional forwards, don't they? They can do everything. They can press. They can hold the ball up. They can run into the space and behind. They can score goals. Everything, and that's what he thinks he'll get from this player. So it's Atlanta play a very sort of high pressing game anyway. So he's coming into the right team to sort of come in and build off that. So I think there's links there between what he's seen. He's obviously seen the age is a big thing. He's really young, isn't he?
Yeah.
He must have seen enough in the potential to sort of say, right, that's what we're going to pay and not mess about.
Another one we've not mentioned, actually, Onana. Very good technically. Like, him in the Champions League final, pinging balls all over. He was unreal. Your thoughts on that? Obviously, there's reservations with any keeper, but what are your pros and pluses?
No, I thought really good. I thought really good signing for Man United. The way Ten Hag wants to play out from the back, and there's a huge onus on the goalkeepers. He's one of the best in the world when it comes to ball at his feet. It's the rest of the stuff. It can be erratic at times. You know what I mean? But at least he's not going to do a David De Gea and shell it out for a throw in every time he's trying to switch it to the fullback. You know what I mean? There's that sort of thing, and there's a big part of that to play as well. So I think he's obviously a quality keeper, but I think I think Alisson and Edison are still the two, the best in the world that they can play out and they make big saves as well. So that's what he will get. De Gea sort of seems to do more of the big saves and less of the playing out, but even De Gea started throwing some hangers in. So I think he'll be a good signing. It'll be questions of when he play those really big games, can he pull off those really important saves?
Yeah, it's going to be a baptism of fire for him, I think, especially as a new keeper in the Premier League. Especially set piece teams might perhaps target him. But, I think the net outcome overall will be better than David De Gea's final years in United.
I think Brentford will be looking forward to playing him. They'll absolutely bombard him in swinging corners, just get on top of the keeper.
It'll be interesting
Welcome to the Premier League,
Andre.
Luton. I can imagine Luton doing pretty much the same thing as well. Sheffield United as well.
I'm looking forward to seeing Luton.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, can you look after yourself, keeper, and see what we like? So yeah, there's some.
Just another one. Arsenal, obviously they went big. They went really big. You think about when we as Liverpool, we won Champions League, we won the Premier League, and you want us to go to that next level. You want us to go in and buy big players. Although Arsenal didn't actually go on to win the league, they have went big to look to improve. And bought in Declan Rice, you're in Timber, and Havertz. Thoughts on signings, progression?
I've got a statement to make. It's going to be a big one. We can clip this and share it with the world. Declan Rice is going to be the biggest letdown of the season.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. What makes you say that? Do you think he's not suited to the style of play?
I think every team he has played for, they've always been a team that don't have possession as much as the other team. Definitely. I mean, I won't count England playing San Marino at home because anyone ever will. But I'm on about the really big games for England, being the defensive side. So it's easy, it's easy playing without the ball. West Ham, you're always defending, you're doing that, and you can it's in that position for a team like Arsenal. You've got to look to break the lines with your passes, and I'll be interested and keen to see how that he does. And the 105 million for him, I mean, it's bonkers. Like the market's gone ridiculous, but Declan Rice for me will be the biggest letdown and failure of the season.
You do make a good point because, you think of players in the past. I know they're not the same positions, but he plays in a more critical position where you need to be able to keep hold of the ball. You need to be in a team that dominates the ball. But I think back to Harry Maguire, when he played for Leicester, not much on the ball, defended deep, and it suited his style of play because weren't many players getting in behind him. Wan-Bissaka, for example, attacking, was never questioned because he was always a solid defender. Now, when you become to a quality attacking side, you're going to need to bring them qualities in attack forward. I see what you're saying. It could be difficult, but he could be like a Jordan Henderson where you need that functional midfielder amongst all of the rest of them. Yeah. But he's
summary, he's never played as an 8, has he? He's not going to really. I just think you look at him.
We've got Thomas Partey though, hasn't there? Thomas Partey.
And I'm just thinking, where is he going to play him, and how much is he really going to improve them? You know what I mean? And it's just, and I don't think it's worth the worry. And I've never fancied him. I never thought he's as good as the hype, and maybe.
Yeah.
Just because Arsenal have decided to pay that money and they've decided to pay 65 million, Havertz was just absolute dog shit. He's not a centre forward. He might do well in midfield, but for me, I'm just thinking, he's spending a lot of money, but has it been really spent wisely? And I don't think they're much better than last season. And last season, you had two big teams that underperformed. So I don't think they finished in the top 2. We shall see again. Do you know what I mean?
Well, let's bless this last little bit of predictions out. Obviously we've got potential for dark horses in there, but are you thinking just Man City winners of the league, or do you honestly think that there is a challenger amongst them?
I mean, I do think as Liverpool, I just think we get that midfield, that 6 holding midfielder sorted, and I think we will be the challengers, because ultimately for Man City in the last 7-8 years, the only team that's gone toe to toe with them and actually has beaten them is Liverpool. And Arsenal just sort of faded away. And it was a pathetic fade away, really, when it came to it at the end. So I think when you look at it, who can go toe to toe with them? Liverpool. But we need to get that midfield sorted. I think Man United overachieved last season. Well, if you look at the XG, they were lucky with where they finished. I think this season it might be a bit more like, what are they doing? They've got everything. They've got to play a goalkeeper, play plays out from the back. They've got a centre forward. They've got a Morrison Mount now. They've got more midfield. It's like, well, now they need to really perform and kick on. So there's a few question marks on quite a few teams. And a few teams I'm really excited to see. Chelsea and Aston Villa, I think they've got 2 brilliant managers, and I think they'll do well. Newcastle, after last season, finishing 4th. Where did they finish? What success for them this season?
Exactly. And then finishing last one, give me your top 4 and your relegated 3.
Top 4, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal and Chelsea. Relegation, I go Luton, Forest and Wolves.
Excellent. I'll be interested to see what Man United fans have to say about that omission. Excellent. Well, thanks for watching, guys. It's actually been a pleasure doing the podcast format, because if you haven't seen, check out all of our shorts, check out our Facebook, check out our Twitter, and all the usuals. Have you enjoyed yourself on the podcast
I have.
format?
It's been a while. I get to whinge and rant and talk again instead of having to get everything in 60 seconds. So I'll have to just start doing this by myself, ask myself questions and just keep going back and forth.
Excellent. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff down below. Thanks,
Peace
guys.
and love, guys. Bye.